This is the pastor's inbox. Today's letter reads, Hi Pastor, my name is Felicia and I'm writing to you from a small town in rural Tennessee. I won't give you the exact name, but I'll tell you it's right in the middle of Cumberland County, sitting on the Cumberland Plateau. The population is just under 12,000 people, though it feels smaller than that. It's one of those towns that sits at a crossroads, a place people pass through on their way to somewhere else. We have one main street with a hardware store, a local diner that's been run by the same family for 40 years, a dollar store, and 3 churches. That's about it. The median household income hovers around $35,000 a year, and most folks work in retail, construction, or the few manufacturing plants scattered around the county. Here, ambition often means just getting by, where dreams are small because anything bigger just seems impossible. I grew up here, the youngest of 5 in a family that really never had much. My father worked at a lumber mill his entire life, coming home each evening with a wood smell and being very exhausted. My mother took in sewing and ironing to help make ends meet. Our home was a small house just on the edge of town, with a sagging porch and windows that rattled when the wind blew. We weren't poor exactly, but we were what folks around here call just getting by. Growing up, I watched my mother age before her time. By the time she was 40, she looked 60. I love her though, just my honest truth. The constant work, the worry about money, the stress of raising 5 children on a mill worker's salary, it wore her down. I remember thinking even as a young girl that I didn't want that life. I didn't want to struggle the way my parents struggled. I wanted more. I wanted security. I wanted a life where I didn't have to count pennies or wear hand-me-down clothes or wonder if we'd have enough to eat at the end of the month. I was a pretty girl. I know that sounds vain, but it's just the truth. People told me so all the time. I had long dark hair, a nice figure, and what my grandmother called a face that could launch ships. In a small town like Crossville, being pretty was one of the few advantages a girl from a poor family could have. It opened doors. It got you noticed. And I'll be honest with you, Pastor, I knew it and I used it. When I was 23, I was working as a waitress at Maggie's Diner, the only sit-down restaurant in town. The pay was terrible, but the tips were decent, especially from the older men who came in for the lunch special. I was saving money, dreaming of maybe getting out of Crossville someday, maybe moving to Nashville or Memphis, somewhere with opportunity. That's when I met Robert. Robert Chambers was a regular at the diner. He'd come in 3 or 4 times a week, always ordering the same thing: meatloaf with mashed potatoes and green beans, sweet tea, and a slice of apple pie if Maggie had baked that day. He was in his early 50s then, a tall man with gray at his temples and kind eyes. He was always polite, always left a generous tip, and always had a smile for me. I knew who he was, of course. Everyone in Crossville knew Robert Chambers. He owned the largest construction company in the county, had built half the new houses in the area, and lived in what people around here considered a mansion, a beautiful 2-story colonial on 10 acres just outside of town. His wife, Margaret, had died of cancer about 3 years before I met him. People said he'd been devoted to her, that he'd spent a fortune trying to save her, that he'd been heartbroken when she passed. They'd had 3 children together, all grown and gone by the time I met Robert. 2 daughters and a son, all of them college educated and living in different states with families of their own. Robert lived alone in that big house, and people whispered that he must be lonely, that it was a shame such a good man was by himself. At first, our conversations were just small talk. He'd ask how my day was going. I'd ask if he wanted a refill on his tea, normal waitress customer stuff. But over time, he started staying longer, lingering over his coffee, asking me questions about myself. Where did I grow up? What did I want to do with my life? Did I have dreams beyond Crossville? I found myself looking forward to his visits. He was different from the men my age in town, more mature, more established, more confident. He didn't play games or try to impress me with bravado. He just talked to me like I was worth talking to, like my thoughts and opinions mattered. Then one day, about 6 months after we'd started these conversations, he asked me out to dinner. Not at Maggie's, but at a nice restaurant in Knoxville, 45 minutes away. I was surprised, flattered, and if I'm being honest, a little uncomfortable. He He was more than twice my age. He was old enough to be my father, but I said yes anyway. That dinner changed everything. Robert was a perfect gentleman. He opened doors for me, pulled out my chair, asked me questions about my life, and actually listened to the answers. He told me about his business, about his late wife, about how lonely the house felt since his children had moved away. He made me laugh. He made me feel special. And when he drove me home that night and walked me to my door without even trying to kiss me, I found myself thinking about him for days afterward. We started seeing each other regularly after that. He took me to movies in Knoxville, to nice restaurants, to concerts. He bought me gifts, not flashy or inappropriate things, just thoughtful presents like a nice sweater or a book he thought I'd enjoy. He introduced me to a world beyond Crossville, beyond Maggie's Diner, beyond the life I'd always known. After about 4 months of dating, Robert proposed to me. We were sitting on his back porch, overlooking the acreage behind his house, watching the sunset. He took my hand and told me he loved me, that he knew the age difference was significant, but that he wanted to spend the rest of his life making me happy. He pulled out a ring, a beautiful diamond that must have cost more than my father made in a year, and asked me to marry him. I panicked. I told him I couldn't, that I wasn't interested in marrying him, that the age gap was too much. I said my father would never approve, that he was in his 60s and would see Robert as too old for his daughter. I tried to let him down gently, but I could see the hurt in his eyes. Robert didn't give up, though. He said he understood my concerns, but he asked if he could speak to my father man to man. I tried to dismiss it, to change the subject, but part of me, the part that had seen that beautiful house, that had enjoyed the nice dinners and the gifts, that had felt what it was like to not worry about money for the first time in my life, part of me wanted him to convince my father. Because here's the truth I'm ashamed to admit, Pastor. I didn't love Robert. Not the way a woman should love the man she marries. I cared about him, yes. I enjoyed his company. I appreciated his kindness. But what I really loved was what he could offer me. Security, stability, a beautiful home, a life free from the financial struggles that had defined my childhood. I loved that he was wealthy. I loved that house, the spacious rooms, the modern kitchen, the master bedroom with the ensuite bathroom and walk-in closet. I loved not having to worry about bills or count change or wear secondhand clothes. And when Robert mentioned that he'd be happy to pay for me to go to college, to get the education I'd always wanted but could never afford, that sealed it for me. So when my father called me into the living room a week later and told me that Robert Chambers had come to see him, that they'd had a long talk, and that he had no doubt in his mind that this man would take care of me, provide for me, and treat me well, I agreed to the marriage. My father, who had worked himself nearly to death to provide for our family, saw Robert as an answer to prayer, a way for his youngest daughter to have the life he'd never been able to give her. We got married 3 months later in a simple ceremony at the Methodist church in town. Robert's children came, though I could tell they weren't entirely comfortable with their father marrying someone young enough to be his daughter. My family was thrilled, already treating me differently because I was marrying up in the world. The whole town turned out for the wedding, some genuinely happy for us, others just curious about the spectacle of it all. The first few years of our marriage were good in many ways. Robert was true to his word. He took excellent care of me. The first substantial gift he bought me after we were married was a brand new car, a beautiful silver sedan that was mine alone. He wasn't jealous or possessive. I could talk to any of my male friends from high school without him questioning me or getting suspicious. He gave me freedom and trusted me completely. He did have his quirks, though. He insisted I cook what he wanted to eat, meat and potatoes mostly, traditional Southern comfort food. He didn't want to try new recipes or experiment with different cuisines. On Saturdays, he would park himself in front of the television from morning until night, watching sports, football, basketball, baseball, whatever was in season. He'd sit in his recliner with a beer and a bowl of pretzels, completely absorbed in the games, barely speaking to me all day. I didn't mind at first. I was busy making the house my own, decorating it, enjoying having space and nice things. Robert enrolled me in community college, and I started taking classes toward a degree in business administration. Life was comfortable, predictable, safe. But as the years went by, I started to feel something was missing. There was no passion in our marriage, no real intimacy beyond the physical. We were companions more than lovers, roommates who shared a bed. Robert was kind and generous, but there was a distance between us that I couldn't quite bridge. Maybe it was the age difference. Maybe it was the fact that I'd married him for security rather than love. Maybe it was both. Still, I stayed. Where would I go? Back to my parents' tiny house, back to waitressing at Maggie's. I had a good life with Robert. I was grateful for what he'd given me, and he seemed happy, or at least content. Then about 3 years ago, everything changed. Robert started feeling tired all the time. He'd come home from work exhausted, needing to nap before dinner. He was thirsty constantly, drinking water by the gallon. He started losing weight despite eating the same amount. I urged him to see a doctor, worried something was seriously wrong. After a series of tests, the diagnosis came: type 2 diabetes. The doctor explained that it was manageable with medication, diet changes, and exercise. But it was a chronic condition that Robert would have to deal with for the rest of his life. Robert took the news hard. He'd always been proud of his health, of his strength and vitality despite his age. Now suddenly he was dealing with blood sugar monitoring, insulin injections, dietary restrictions, and a whole new reality. But the worst part, the part that's been eating away at him and straining our marriage, came a few months after the diagnosis. Robert started having difficulty getting and maintaining an erection. At first, he thought it was just stress or fatigue. But as it continued, he became increasingly worried and depressed about it. His doctor explained that erectile dysfunction is a common complication of diabetes, that the disease affects blood flow and nerve function. There are medications that can help, therapies that can be tried, but for Robert, the psychological impact has been devastating. He's become obsessed with it, Pastor. He constantly asks me if I'll remain faithful to him, if I'll still want to be with him, even though he can't perform the way he used to. He apologizes after every failed attempt at intimacy. He watches me whenever I talk to other men, looking for signs that I'm interested in someone else. The trust and freedom he used to give me has been replaced with insecurity and fear. I've tried to reassure him. I've told him over and over that I'm not going anywhere, that this doesn't change how I feel about him, that we'll work through this together. But he doesn't seem to believe me. He's become withdrawn and depressed, spending even more time in front of the television, avoiding situations where physical intimacy might be expected. His doctor has been working with him, trying different medications and approaches. Some things help a little, but nothing has fully resolved the issue. And with each failed attempt, Robert's confidence erodes a little more. The truth is, Pastor, I don't know how to help him. I'm only 25 years old. I never expected to be dealing with these kinds of issues so early in my marriage. I thought I'd have decades before facing the challenges of aging and illness. And while I genuinely care about Robert and want to support him, I sometimes feel trapped. I married him for security, and now that security feels like a cage. But I also feel guilty for those thoughts. Robert has been nothing but good to me. He's given me everything he promised and more. He doesn't deserve a wife who resents him for getting sick, who feels burdened by his medical issues. He deserves support and compassion and patience. I know he reads your column every day, Pastor. He clips out the advice columns from the newspaper and keeps them in a folder. He's always admired your wisdom and straightforward approach to problems. So I'm writing to ask if you could say a word of encouragement to him. Maybe some advice on how we can navigate this difficult season in our marriage. How do I help my husband feel confident and loved when his body is betraying him? How do I reassure him that I'm committed to our marriage even when I sometimes question whether I'm married for the right reasons? How do we find intimacy and connection when the physical aspect of our relationship has become so complicated? I'm including my real name because I want Robert to know this letter is from me, that I care enough to reach out for help on his behalf. Please, Pastor, help us find our way through this. Sincerely, Felicia, Crossville, Tennessee. Dear Felicia, thank you for your honest and vulnerable letter. It takes courage to share such intimate struggles, especially in a small town where privacy is scarce and judgment often comes quickly. I want you to know that what you're facing is far more common than you might think, and there is hope and wisdom available to guide you through this challenging season. Let me begin by addressing Robert directly, since I know you mentioned he reads this column faithfully. Robert, if you're reading this, your wife loves you enough to reach out for help on your behalf. That alone should tell you something important about her commitment to your marriage. She didn't write this letter to complain about you or to seek permission to leave. She wrote it because she wants to find ways to support you, to help you feel confident and loved, and to strengthen your marriage during a difficult time. I want you to understand something crucial. You are far from alone in what you're experiencing. There are millions of men around the world dealing with diabetes, and a significant percentage of them face some form of erectile dysfunction as a result. This is not a reflection of your manhood, your worth, or your value as a husband. It's simply a medical reality that affects countless men, and it can be managed and worked through. However, I need to be direct with you about something. Your anxiety and constant fretting about this condition is likely making it worse. Medical professionals will tell you that stress, depression, and performance anxiety can significantly exacerbate erectile dysfunction. When you constantly worry about whether you can perform, when you obsessively ask Felicia if she'll remain faithful, when you withdraw from intimacy out of fear of failure, you're creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. Your fear of the problem is becoming a bigger problem than the medical condition itself. I understand this is deeply personal and painful for you. As men, we're conditioned to tie our sense of masculinity and self-worth to our sexual performance. Our culture tells us that real men are always ready, always capable, always virile. But that's a lie, Robert. Your worth as a man, as a husband, and as a human being created in the image of God has nothing to do with your erectile function. Your doctor has been working with you on medical solutions, and I encourage you to continue following their advice. But I also want you to understand that intimacy in marriage is about far more than one specific physical act. There are many ways to experience sexual satisfaction, connection, and pleasure with your wife that don't depend on maintaining an erection. This is where I need to be frank and practical with you, Robert. Many men in your situation have found that with creativity, communication, and willingness to adapt, they and their wives enjoy a fulfilling, intimate life despite erectile challenges. Your hands still work. Your mouth still works. Your desire to please your wife and connect with her can still be expressed in countless ways. Some couples in your situation have discovered that the husband focusing entirely on his wife's pleasure, without the pressure of his own performance, actually deepens their intimacy and brings them closer together. When you make her satisfaction the goal, rather than your own ability to maintain an erection, it removes the anxiety and opens up new possibilities for connection. Additionally, there are practical approaches that can help. Your doctor may have discussed medications like Viagra or Cialis with you. There are also mechanical devices, such as vacuum pumps, that many men find helpful. Some men benefit from testosterone therapy if low testosterone is contributing to the issue. And for some, couples counseling or sex therapy provides valuable guidance and support. But Robert, the most important thing you need to do right now is stop the cycle of anxiety and self-doubt. Your constant questions about whether Felicia will remain faithful are pushing her away emotionally, not drawing her closer. Your withdrawal from physical affection because you're afraid you can't perform is creating distance between you. Your depression and preoccupation with this issue are affecting your entire relationship, not just the bedroom. Trust your wife when she tells you she's committed to the marriage. Stop interrogating her loyalty. Stop watching her interactions with other men for signs of interest. That behavior, born from your insecurity, is far more damaging to your marriage than any physical limitation could ever be. Now, Felicia, let me speak directly to you. I appreciate your honesty about why you married Robert. You didn't pretend that it was some grand romance or passionate love affair. You acknowledged that you were attracted to the security, stability, and lifestyle he could provide. That honesty while perhaps uncomfortable to admit, is important for moving forward. Many marriages throughout history have been built on foundations other than romantic love, shared values, practical considerations, family arrangements, economic security. What matters is not how the marriage began, but how you choose to nurture it and grow it over time. Love is not just a feeling you have or don't have, it's a choice you make, a commitment you honor, actions you take day after day. You're now at a crossroads in your marriage. You can choose to see Robert's illness and limitations as a burden that validates your fears about marrying an older man, or you can choose to see this as an opportunity to develop deeper compassion, patience, and genuine love for your husband. I want to address something you said in your letter that concerns me. You sometimes feel trapped. That feeling is understandable given your circumstances, but it's also a signal that you need to do some soul searching about your commitment to this marriage. You are not trapped, Felicia. You are a grown woman who made a choice to marry Robert, and you have the power to make choices now about how you show up in this marriage. If you approach this situation with resentment, seeing yourself as stuck, caring for an aging, sick husband when you could be living a different life, that resentment will poison your marriage and make both of you miserable. But if you choose to approach this with compassion and commitment, recognizing that this is part of the in sickness and in health vow you made, you have the opportunity to build something real and meaningful with Robert. Here's what I want you to understand about intimacy in marriage. It's not just about physical satisfaction. True intimacy is about vulnerability, trust, emotional connection, and being fully known and fully accepted by another person. The sexual aspect of marriage is important, yes, but it's one thread in a much larger tapestry. Robert's erectile dysfunction is actually creating an opportunity for you both to explore what real intimacy means. When the easy, straightforward physical relationship becomes complicated, you're forced to communicate more, to be more creative, to be more vulnerable with each other. Many couples report that going through challenges like this, while difficult, ultimately brought them closer together. You mentioned that you feel like you don't know how to help Robert. Let me offer some practical guidance. First, take a more active role in physical intimacy. This doesn't mean just during sex, but throughout your daily life. Touch him affectionately. Hold his hand. Kiss him hello and goodbye. Initiate hugs. Physical affection that isn't directly related to sexual performance will help him feel desired and loved without the pressure of having to perform. When you are intimate sexually, don't make his erection the focus or goal. Focus on pleasure, connection, and closeness. Use your hands to pleasure him manually. Explore other forms of intimacy that don't require an erection. Let him know that you're satisfied and fulfilled even when intercourse isn't possible. Your reassurance and enthusiasm will do more to help his confidence than any medication ever could. Second, help him manage his diabetes effectively. This is crucial not just for the erectile dysfunction, but for his overall health and longevity. Diabetes is a serious condition that requires daily management. Make sure he's following the diet his doctor prescribed. Don't allow him to cheat or make excuses. Cook meals that are diabetes-friendly. Exercise with him. Help him maintain healthy blood sugar levels. When his diabetes is well controlled, many of his symptoms, including erectile dysfunction, may improve. Third, communicate openly and regularly. Don't let resentment or frustration build up. Talk to Robert about your feelings, your needs, your concerns, and listen when he shares his fears and insecurities. Create a safe space where both of you can be honest without judgment. Fourth, consider seeking professional help together. A marriage counselor or sex therapist who specializes in working with couples dealing with medical issues could provide valuable guidance and support. There's no shame in asking for help. In fact, it's a sign of wisdom and commitment to your marriage. Fifth, nurture the non-physical aspects of your relationship. Find activities you enjoy doing together. Have conversations about things other than his health or your concerns. Laugh together. Create new memories. Build friendship alongside partnership. I also want to address the age gap in your marriage, Felicia. You married a man significantly older than you, and now you're facing the realities of that age difference earlier than you expected. This is not a judgment, just an acknowledgement of reality. Robert is in his 50s now, which means as you continue through your 20s and 30s, he'll be entering his 60s and 70s. Health issues will likely continue to arise. Energy levels will differ. Life stages won't always align. This is what you signed up for when you married an older man, even if you didn't fully understand it at the time. You can choose to resent this reality, or you can choose to embrace it with grace and maturity. The choice is yours, but I encourage you to choose wisely, because your attitude will shape not just Robert's experience, but your own. Let me also speak to something deeper that I sense beneath your letter. The question of whether you married for the right reasons and whether that matters now. You married Robert primarily for security and the lifestyle he could provide. That wasn't love as the world defines it, passionate, romantic, overwhelming feeling. But here's what I want you to consider. The security and provision Robert has given you is itself a form of love. Robert chose to marry a woman much younger than himself, knowing that people would talk, that his children might not approve, that there would be challenges. He did it because he cared about you and wanted to share his life with you. He's been generous, trusting, and faithful. He's given you opportunities you wouldn't have had otherwise. That is love expressed through action, through sacrifice, through commitment. Now he's in a vulnerable position, dealing with a condition that affects his pride and sense of masculinity. This is your opportunity to show him love in return, not the easy love of enjoying his provision, but the hard love of standing beside him when things aren't comfortable or easy. Marriage is not primarily about feelings, Felicia. It's about covenant, commitment, and choice. Feelings come and go, circumstances change, health fails, money can be lost. But the commitment to love, honor, and cherish your spouse through all of life's seasons, that's what marriage is truly about. I want to leave both of you with some biblical wisdom that I believe speaks directly to your situation. In 1 Corinthians 13, often read at weddings, Paul writes about love. Love is patient, love is kind. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. Notice what this passage doesn't say. It doesn't say love is a feeling that sweeps you off your feet. It doesn't say love is about passionate romance or physical perfection. Instead, it describes love as patient and kind, as protective and trusting, as something that perseveres through difficulty. Robert, your love for Felicia must be patient with yourself as you navigate this medical challenge. It must be kind to yourself and to her, not allowing anxiety and insecurity to create distance between you. It must trust her when she says she's committed to the marriage. Felicia, your love for Robert must be patient with his struggles and fears. It must be kind in your actions and attitudes toward him. It must protect his dignity and confidence rather than diminishing them. It must hope for better days ahead and persevere through this difficult season. Another passage I want to share is from Ecclesiastes 4:9-12. Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. This passage beautifully captures what marriage is meant to be. You two are better together than apart. When one of you falls, whether literally or figuratively, the other is there to help them up. You keep each other warm, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. And when you face challenges that might overpower one person alone, together you can defend yourselves against those challenges. Right now, Robert, you've fallen. Your health has dealt you a difficult blow. But Felicia is there to help you up, to support you, to face this challenge alongside you. Don't push her away with your insecurity. Let her be the helper she's trying to be. And Felicia, don't see Robert's struggle as a burden you must carry alone. You're facing this together as a team. The cord of your marriage, when woven together with faith and commitment, is not easily broken. Not by illness, not by age, not by challenges in the bedroom. Finally, I want to share one more piece of scripture that I believe is particularly relevant. In Ephesians 5:25, Paul writes, "Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her." Robert, Christ's love for the church wasn't about what he could get, but about what he could give. He gave himself completely, sacrificially. Your love for Felicia should reflect that same selfless quality. Even when you can't perform sexually in the way you once did, you can still love her sacrificially. You can focus on her needs, her pleasure, her emotional and spiritual well-being. You can give yourself to her in countless ways beyond the physical. And Felicia, while this verse is directed to husbands, the principle applies to wives as well. Christ's love was patient, enduring, faithful, even when it was difficult, even when it required sacrifice. Your love for Robert can reflect that same quality, choosing to be faithful not because it's easy or because you're getting everything you want, but because you've made a commitment to love him in all seasons of life. Robert, you are loved by your wife and valued by God, regardless of your medical condition. Your erectile function does not define your worth or your masculinity. You are so much more than this one challenge you're facing. Felicia, you have the opportunity to transform a marriage that began with somewhat selfish motivations into something beautiful and meaningful. Choose love, choose commitment, choose grace. You won't regret it. Both of you, remember that a cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. Invite God into this struggle. Pray together. Seek his wisdom and strength. He can provide what you lack: patience when you're frustrated, compassion when you're tired, hope when things seem hopeless, and love that transcends circumstances. Your marriage can not only survive this challenge, but emerge stronger and more intimate because of it. But that outcome depends on the choices you make today and every day moving forward. May God bless you both and grant you wisdom, patience, and deepening love for one another. In Christ's service, Pastor Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. 1 Corinthians 13, verse 7-8.